Welcome to Unit 9, Classification. In this unit, we are going to be discussing how scientists like to organize life. In the 1700s, plant collecting was the in thing to do. People would travel all over the world to see what new plants they could find. One man brought back 30,000 different plant samples, of which over 1,000 had never even been seen before. At that time, there was no one way to organize and name things, so people did whatever they wanted. Sometimes the names were long and complicated. Some things had 2 different names. Sometimes animals were categorized by size, and sometimes by if they were considered to be handsome and noble. It was a mess. Science needed a standard taxonomy, a way of classifying organisms that everyone could use. Enter Carolus Linnaeus. In the 1730s, Carolus Linnaeus, who was a Swedish botanist, developed a 2-word naming system called binomial nomenclature. Bi meaning 2, and nomen from the Latin meaning name. Using this method of naming, an organism's first name is its genus, and last name is its species. So our friend the ground cherry became Physalis angulata, and there was much rejoicing. Well, maybe not from the guy that named it originally. So where did Linnaeus get those genus and species names from? Well, he also developed a system of classification that included 7 hierarchical taxa. Hierarchical meaning having ranks, and taxa, the plural of taxon, meaning a group of population of organisms that form a unit. These taxa are kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So if we were to take a grizzly bear and classify it, it would be kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Carnivora, family Ursidae, genus Ursus, and species Arctos. Sometimes an organism will be called by 3 names, the third being its subspecies. For instance, a mainland grizzly would be Ursus arctos horribilis. Sometimes classification keys are used to identify organisms by traits that are visible. However, today scientists look at how closely members of groups are related by their DNA. Here are a few more terms that you're going to need to know. Phylogeny is the study of how living and extinct organisms are related to each other, or the evolutionary history of an organism. Remember, we can do that through things like the fossil record and the homologies, like anatomical, developmental, and molecular. Next, you will need to know what a clade is. A clade is a group of species that include a single common ancestor and all the descendants of that ancestry. So, if we looked at the clade of a whale, it would look like this. The way that we can show a clade is to use a cladogram. Clado indicates a clade, and gram from the Greek for something that is written. So a cladogram is a diagram that links groups of organisms by showing how evolutionary lines or lineages branch off from common ancestors. A cladogram starts with an ancestral lineage that branches at splitting events to show descendants. A derived characteristic is a trait that arose in the most recent common ancestor of a particular lineage and passed traits to its descendants.